Hello Flosstube, and buoyed up with success after finally managing to get my last video recorded and uploaded, which has not been the straightforward thing. I am now plunging ahead with my next planned video. So if you hadn't watched the previous video, you'll know that I was having huge issues uploading a really long Flosstube that I'd done a week or two ago. So I did a much shorter one where I just talked about my recent finishes and works in progress. So in this video, what I'm doing is not talking about that. No, I'm not talking about that. But what I do want to talk about is plans and what I'm calling presents, which is to say some of the things I received, particularly at Stitch in London, either from other people or I was going to say, or in exchange for money, that is true, but also prizes. So all sorts of things that I've got to share with you. But I also want to talk in this video about my plans, my stitching plans for November and December, and looking ahead a little bit already to 2025. If you've not watched my previous video and you're interested in a little giveaway, I say little, I think it's quite a big giveaway. It's quite a nice giveaway. You might want to go and watch that video and check that out. Do not leave your word for entry in the comments on this video. You will need to leave it on that video if you want to be in with a chance of winning. So, Stitch in London. I mean, it's a little while ago now, and I'm not going to do a full recap of the weekend. There are lots of other lovely YouTubers have talked about that. I was on a very lovely table with Sarah of Sew Me Sarah and her friend Noreen, who I love Noreen. She's great. I've met her at every Stitch in London, in fact, and the very first Stitch in London, she was stitching on. Do you need to get out? What's the matter, honey? Just a little squeak from Charlie, and I'm not really sure why. He's been in a bit of a funny mood all morning. He's gone slightly vegetarian today. He's been happily licking the grass in the garden and refusing to eat his bit of ham with his pill in it. But I don't know what that sort of squeaking was about. Anyway, he's come over to sit by me, and hopefully he'll be all right for the rest of the video. Anyway, where was I talking about? Oh yeah, my table. So Sarah and Noreen, Leanne, who is new to retreats, I think any kind of retreat, Karen, who watches my videos, hello Karen, and Claire, Crafty Creative Claire, and Sam in Stitches. So it's a lovely table. We had a lovely time. I think I did talk about that in the last video actually, because I was doing my Stitch in London piece that I had stitched. Amongst the things that happen at Stitch in London is a freebie table and also a de-stash table. So freebies obviously to give away, de-stash to sell. And on our table, which I think a number of tables did as well, we also, because there was a limit to how much you could put on the freebie table, because poor old Marie doesn't want to have to deal with getting rid of everybody's non-taken things. So we also did a little share around the table of some of the freebies we'd bought in case anyone wanted those. And so I was able to pass on a couple of things, and these were from people on my table. So this, Hands-On Designs Botanical Bee, I think Leanne had brought that, and I really love that. I'm not sure, well, I'm not sure. As per usual, if I stitch it, when I stitch it, I'll probably make some changes. But in principle, I really like it. So as a freebie, I was very glad to receive that. And also this, which I think Sew Me Sarah had brought, which again is one of those that I've sort of seen around and thought, oh, that's really pretty, but I don't know if I would actually stitch all of that. But I like the idea of being able to stitch like maybe just those 3 flowers would make a really nice smalls exchange, or you know, kind of sets of 2, or these little strips across here. So I like the idea of having it and being able to use it in different ways. I love the original Laurie Holt colours, but again, I also think it's one where it would be really easy to make substitutions in different ways. So very glad to have that, well, both of those as a freebie. What did I pick up from the actual freebie table? I don't know if I did pick up anything. I might have done, but I can't now remember if I did. Sorry if you brought something and I picked it up. I was very grateful for it. I had already, because I'd already filmed this really long Flosstube, I had already gone through all my Stitch in London stuff. So now I've had to get it all out again because I've been able to put it away. And I may well have not got everything out again. Anyway, I also picked up this little freebie. So Haystack Stitching. She had a couple of these cards. They're basically business cards, but they've got freebie patterns on the back. They were... on the table, Lynn from the Sampler Guild had a table, and there were boxes and boxes of really cheap, discounted, old charts. I think they were all charts. I don't think they were kits. So a lot of people got some real bargains there. Not absolutely my style, and as you know, I much prefer stitching from PDF, so I'm very cautious about what I will buy in print format. But anyway, I picked up one of these little cards because I thought it was a very sweet little freebie on the back. And then I did buy some charts. I bought two. I thought there might have been another one, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I've got two that I found that I bought from Marie's shop. So Marie of Stitches and Diamonds and her husband Gunter, who run the retreat and also now run Swan Bay Fabric. They run at the retreat a little shop, and they stock Roxy Flossco threads and their own fabrics. And I've just got a whiny dog down here. What's the matter? What's the matter? He's been whiny all day and I don't quite know why. Sorry. And also some charts. And I had a particular chart that I've been looking for ages, and have come to the conclusion that you can only get it in print format, not PDF, and I couldn't find a UK stockist, and I was like, oh, do I want it enough to really want it enough to order it from America or Canada or whatever? And she had it, and it's this. So you might remember, if you've been watching my channel for a while, last year I stitched the hands-on design hexagons flamingo. I can't remember what the actual name of it was, but the same thing, flamingos all around in a circle. And that one was in a magazine that I had access to on Readly. I don't remember if there was a big hexagon as well, but I didn't stitch that. I did this, and I have it on my wall just up there, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to pause while I go and sort out my dog. Right, we have been out for a little walk. I'm not sure that's made any difference at all. But anyway, hopefully we might be slightly less disturbed by the dog. So yeah, so I was telling you about this one with the hexagons and the stitching design on them. I really enjoyed doing the flamingo one. I really wanted to do this one. I think there is a third one in the same series, but I can't remember what the theme of that one was. So anyway, I was really chuffed to get that pattern. I also bought from Marie and Gunter Enjoy the Stitch. It's another hands-on design pattern. It wasn't one that I knew, but I really liked it. I particularly like the small, but I quite like the big pattern too. Again, I think that would make a lovely thing for a smalls exchange, because I think if you're never quite sure what to do for a smalls exchange, well, you know that everybody loves stitching. So if you do a stitch themed one, everybody's going to love it. That's my thinking. But I also have plans for a big stitch themed project involving lots of different designs. And then the other chart that I bought, this was from Rachel at the Talking Dog Stitcher. She had a stall on the Saturday. So I really liked, there are lots of things I love about how Marie organises it, but one of the things she did this year, which I thought was brilliant, and I think last year as well a bit, was have not all the vendors all the time. And in fact, I think the only vendors who were open all the time were her and Gunter, and so everybody else was there for 1 or 2 days only, which is fine because that's still plenty of time to do your shopping, but it means you get a much wider range. And so there was a much wider range of flosses available this time. So Rachel, she carries Gentle Arts, Classic Colourworks and Cottage Garden. And then there was Corrie from Letitia from Corrie's Little Creations, and she had, like I said, she had a wide range of silks. She also had other fancy flosses, which I now can't remember because I wasn't looking at those when I was at her stall. We had Megan from Coffee Craft Fabrics. She was there twice. We had obviously Swan Bay Fabrics. Linda from the Sampler Guild, as well as all the charts she bought. She had a good range of just ordinary Zweigart own fabrics, not over dyed, at good prices. I can't remember who else we have. Nest Project bags, and then we had a couple of designers, so Yasmin's Made with Love and Ruthie from Crow's Feet Stitchery. And there were also, Marie had on her stall leftover from vendors who had been at weekend one. She had Charlie Feathers floss drops, which I bought some. That was quite a big treat. I really love those. I haven't got those to show you, sorry, but if you've seen Charlie Feathers floss drops, you know what they're like. So anyway, there were lots and lots of shopping opportunities at repeated intervals during the weekend, and not just the same things to go and look at, which I realised. Anyway, Rachel Talking Dog Stitchery, she had a number of Stacey Nash's animal crackers. She did have the kit for this one, but I just bought the chart because it's the kind of thing where you can definitely use stash threads. I'm not normally a huge fan of badgers. They're quite wild, vicious animals. My aunt has long had a campaign against the cuteness of badgers, and I sort of agree with her, but honestly, a badger in a flowery apron with a kettle, yeah. So I've got a plan for that. If you remember years ago when I did the Jack Rabbit from the Cottage Garden Samplings Woodland Animals Year in the Woods, that's right, the finish that I did for that is what I'm planning probably for the badger. So I don't know when I'll get to that, but I really liked it and was glad to have that. Just briefly, the fabrics that I bought, this is from Megan, and it is one of her sparkly ones. I think you can just about see that, and that's quite a good representation of the colour at this end. It's a little bit faded if I bring it in, but there. So it's beautiful sort of gold with gold sparkle. That is a 32 count opalescent linen. I also bought this 32 count. This is not opalescent. There we go. In this kind of gorgeous mottled orange from her. And then I did buy 2 Swan Bay fabrics. So this is Rosing's Parlour, again in 32 count linen. That is coming out really faded. I don't know how to, maybe if I put this one behind it, does that help? Not really. It is this beautiful kind of greyish mauve, and it is definitely come darker than that is appearing. Maybe about, it's still quite washed out. Anyway, it's beautiful. Other people have shown Swan Bay fabrics, you'll be able to tell. And I think this is also, I've bought a lot of 32 count, I think. No, this is 36 count anyway. And this is Mary's Sampler, and it's a kind of yellowish neutral. So lovely fabrics. Now, what else did I get? You get other things. I'm not going to go through all my little table gifts. A, because I have already done that and then put them away. And B, I can't really remember who gave me everything, and I didn't take notes, despite the fact that there was room to take notes in Yasmin's little journal pattern thing that I bought. So I'm sorry about that. I was on the same table as Somi Sarah, so if you've watched her video, you'll have an idea of the kind of lovely things that people gave me. One of the things I've been really using, someone gave me a really tiny little pair of scissors. I think it might have been Claire from Creative Crafty Claire. Anyway, I've been using those a lot and I really like them. I feel like I became known as the box lady at Stitch in London. So one of the things Marie does is a raffle, and I really love the way she does it. So instead of just putting your tickets all in together and then getting picked randomly and just getting what you're given, she puts a little cup next to each of the prizes, and you have a chance to go and then put your sort of half ticket in the ones that you want to be in with a chance of winning. So if there's one thing you really, really want, you can put all your tickets in there. If there's lots of things, you can spread yourself out. If there's one you really want to avoid, you can make sure you don't do that. You get a certain amount of tickets in your retreat pack, so everybody enters, but you can also purchase additional tickets. This year we were supporting Great Ormond Street, so I did buy an extra strip. I had an absolute Just So Sherry moment, which I did share with Sherry. I really enjoyed meeting Sherry at Stitch in London. She's really short. I just throw that out there in case you ever meet her. She's really short. Anyway, but I did go and tell her I had an absolute Just So Cherry moment where I was putting my tickets in the thing and I'm like, oh, I seem to have loads. That's good. Lots of choices. And then I went and sat back down on my table and I'm like, yeah, I put in both halves of my tickets. You're not supposed to do that. Because A, you give yourselves twice as much chance being picked out, which isn't fair. But B, you have no idea when you're picked out because you haven't got the tickets to show you. I mean, some people wrote their names on, but I had not done that. So anyway, fortunately, I was quite near the beginning. So not very many people had already put their tickets in. And I knew I'd only put mine, I think, in only 2 cups. Maybe 3, I can't remember, but anyway, I was able to find the ones where there were duplicates and it was the same number of tickets as I should have had, so I took half of them out and then replaced the halves that should have been there. Anyway, honestly, absolute idiot. And I won the thing that I really wanted. So the top prize, I mean, they weren't really in order, but the top prize was a full set of Swan Bay fabric. So I did put 1 or 2 in there, didn't win that. And like I said, I think I might have put 1 in something else, but I can't quite remember. But the thing I put most of my tickets in, ta-da! Isn't that brilliant? I was so excited. So I think if you were at the Stitch in London sampler edition earlier on this year, I think this was the box that they were all given. And I remember thinking then, oh, that's really nice. Oh, I'd like one of those. And then when I saw there was one on the raffle table, I thought, well, so I'm always quite strategic about this thing. I kind of always look for the thing that I would like, but that I think not everyone will want. And obviously this is lovely, but it's quite heavy and bulky. So if you're somebody who's traveling home on public transport, but certainly if you got, carry-on luggage on a plane, you're not going to want this. You just, it's not portable in that sort of way. I'm like, it's really heavy. I have put a few things in it, but even so, whereas I was there with my car, so that was very easy for me if I want it, and I really liked it. And some of the prizes are things which you think, well, those are lovely charts, but I'm not really going to stitch those, or that's a kit which I quite like, but it'd be much better if somebody who really loves it wins that. But this was one I really wanted, so I was very excited when my name came up. And I have put some things in it. I don't know if this is how I'm going to use it in the long term, but just for the moment, what I've done, let's lift that up, is I've used it just to store a few of my very little small finishes. So I mean, it might end up being that, or it might be that it ends up being for maybe trims, or yeah, I don't quite know. It probably won't be floss because I've got all my floss in storage that I'm quite happy with at this point, but certainly something will get stored in there. And at the moment it's just sitting on my little sewing table next to my beautiful button box that Sally from Flosstube Sews and Grows made for my birthday, and just making me happy every time I look for it. I might well do something to go on the top. I might line the drawers. I've been toying with the idea of lining them with beautiful scrapbook paper rather than with fabric, but I haven't made any finals. It'd be lovely lined with velvet, wouldn't it? There's a thought. Anyway, we'll see, but I'm just so delighted to have that. So that was my raffle prize. And then in my smalls exchange, this was just in a little gift bag, so there's no indication of what the small itself was, and it just said on it something like a little gift from my home to yours, or something like that. So I thought, oh, maybe it was something kind of home themed, but no. So it was a box. Here's the box, pretty box with a little handle, and this is what's on top. Now, if like me you don't immediately recognize this flag, I think that's fair enough. It is not a country flag, it is a province. I'm going to say province. I think that's what they have in Canada, but if it's states, I apologize. And it is the flag of Newfoundland. And this was stitched by Vani of My Stitch Diary, who had come all the way to Stitch in London from Newfoundland. And this sort of black area is the shape of the island, and then the sort of rest of the flag represents whatever behind it. So that was so lovely to win that. And I love that it's a little box. I think we've already proved I love little boxes. and that it was something so unique, really, and really special. And then inside she'd put a little bit of Thread Heaven. I've never had Thread Heaven before. I do have various beeswax things, but I've never tried that, so that'll be fun. A beautiful, beautiful skein of Gloriana silk. I mean, that is a perfect colour for me. That's a perfect colour to go with pink. I will just throw that out there. So it's not pink, but it will go perfectly, and I really love that. 6 yards, 12 strand silk, hand dyed in the US, spring green. So I loved that. And then a little Newfoundland keyring. I feel like there might have been something else that I've taken out, but I now can't remember. Anyway, if there was, Vani, I've taken it out because I am using it. I put it with the rest of my stash, and I'm sorry if I've forgotten. But anyway, I really loved having that. I love the little box. I love that it's something, you know, really unique and special. And yeah, it was perfect. So I came home with 2 boxes from Stitch in London, 2 wooden boxes. The other things that I came home with, I'm not going to get all of this out. A bag. This was a bag that I had taken, and this is full of fabric. So not cross stitch fabric, this is full of cotton fabric. And Chloe, Fat Quarters, from Girl with the Gavel Stitches, had brought a huge de-stash pile of fabrics that she was selling off at extraordinarily bargain prices. So I think I paid in the end, I can't remember whether I paid £15 or £20 for this whole bag worth, and they're all just beautiful. This bag at the top, these are not quilting cotton, these are all shirtings, beautiful fine lawn shirtings. And you know, but you can see these are, I mean, that one I think is Liberty, I could be wrong, but yeah. So anyway, those are lovely and in really usable sizes, and that will be a large addition to my stash, which didn't really need an addition. Anyway, so I think that was all I was going to show you, except this one thing, which technically I didn't buy at Stitch in London, but I did buy during Stitch in London, and so did at least 3 other people on my table, and 2 other people on my table already had one. So I think that's right. I think there was just Sam from Samantha and Stitches who held firm. But I think 4 of us placed an order from the same website for the same thing at about 10 o'clock on the Saturday night, and it's this. So it is from a company called Hobby Gift. They're not handmade, they're manufactured. They come in a number of different patterns, but not every fabric design that they have comes in every style of bag that they have, because there was another one that I really liked, but I couldn't find it in this. And this style of bag is extraordinary. So it is a project bag. So let me just unzip it. It's got lovely zips with little flowers on the handles. It's a really nice, it just feels quite cottony on the outside, but then on the inside, oh, there we go, there's one of my Charlie Feathers Floss drops. So nice wide vinyl front bag on the bottom half, vinyl front bag that divides in 2, another one that's got 2 small pockets, and then you've got one here which you could put like pens or pencils or scissors or whatever in there, and then another 2 large ones. So effectively you've got 4 A4 size, I mean larger than A4, would fit easily A4 in project bags, and 4 A5 size. And what I have got in here is one of the things I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But so the 2 people on my table who already had this, one in this exact colourway and one in a sort of sewing notion themed bag, I mean, it was just brilliant. You can take a lot in quite a small space, more than enough that you would need for any length of retreat, to be honest, and keep it really nicely organised and compact. So I really, really was impressed by that, and we were all impressed by that. And it was only about £25. You can get them on Amazon. That wasn't the cheapest place. So yeah, Google around. If I can remember to do it, I'll put the link where we all bought ours, because we think we found the cheapest place in the UK. But it's not a UK company. I'm pretty sure you can get these, you know, anywhere you can get Amazon, I guess. And I really liked it. They also have bags that are suitable for knitting and crochet. sewing machine covers, pin cushions, all sorts of things. And like I say, not everything comes in every design that they do, but I really like this bird design. So I think that is everything that I was going to talk about that I have acquired in various ways: giveaways, presents, prizes, and purchases. What I want to talk to you about now is plans. So we're in November, and I have finished my October plan, which was the last piece of the round robin, the Ink Circles round robin. So I'm not going to talk about that now, because I've talked about it in the previous video and I have now finished it. But I am going to talk about my plans. So I would love to do another stitch along. I loved doing the Celebration of Colour stitch along at the beginning of 2024. I loved that people joined in. Somebody at Stitch London who'd been at the big stitch was like, oh, and several people there were stitching it, Roz. And I'm like, that's amazing. So it just gives me an absolute thrill every time I see anybody's version of it being worked on. So if you have started stitching it or finished stitching it and haven't shown me, I mean, please show me. I would love to see it. If you're on Instagram, that's an easy way of doing it. If you're not on Instagram, let me know in the comments and I will tell you how you can get it to me via email, because it just makes me so happy to see that. But I've had a different kind of stitch along in mind, and I had thought I might try and get it done this year, but this year has not been kind in the way of time and effort to get things done, so I haven't. But I have started working on it, and my plan for November really is to carry on working on this and get it to a state where I feel confident launching it in the new year and confident telling you what you are going to need if you want to be part of it. And one of the things I like about the idea that I've got is that it can be done at really a lot of different levels. So you could sign up for something that's going to take you 10 years. I'm not going to be doing that version. Or you could sign up for something that you could easily do in a week and then be done. So I quite like that, because, you know, you might join in and start along with it and then think, actually, I'm really enjoying this. I'm going to do sort of the next level up. Or you could start it with really big plans and then go, do you know what, I'm not getting around to this. But still have enough to make an actual really good finished thing. And it is inspired by the Kathy Haberman hands-on design hexagon charts, because I'm like, I really like that combination of cross stitch and paper piecing. I know we're supposed to call it English paper piecing. To me, it's just paper piecing. And the other kind of paper piecing is foundation paper piecing. And, you know, anyway. But it is going to be hexagons. There we go. Hexagons. And so that's what I've got in this new project bag, because I've been trying to work out, I didn't really have a good size bag because it's quite chunky, because I've got a lot of backing fabric, you know what I mean, quilting fabric for hexagons. I bought a chunk of Tilda fabrics. I love Tilda fabrics, they're very pretty. So I bought a jelly roll. This isn't the whole jelly roll, but it'll give you a kind of idea. And in these really pretty pinks and blues, and some of them are floral, and some of them, there's one which has got this lady taking a dog for a walk with an umbrella, which I quite like, but mostly they're not representational, and some of them are very sort of low volume design, that's the word I'm looking for, whereas some of them, you know, obviously have got a bit more obvious design to them. I'm struggling now. There's too much over it. What I want to get out to show you, here we are the hexagons that I've done. So I also bought a stack of fat quarters in her chambray fabric. So it's plain, but it's still got a little bit of texture to it. And because it's hers, all the colours still match. So I've done a chunk of those, and then some of the designed fabrics, some in the blue, very pretty. This is the umbrella lady, which I really liked, and then this sort of that. So anyway, I've been working on a stash of those. I think I've got about 60 done so far. I don't know how many more I'm going to do. But you see, because we're doing these sort of hexagon things, you could literally do, like the Kathy Haberman one, 6 and be done. And you could do 1 cross-stitched one with 6 fabric ones around it, call it done. So I'm going to be sharing, when I put it together, some finishing options, all based around the hexagon. So you won't need to be doing other shapes, because what we're going to do, where we've got things that don't fit, we're going to applique them onto, and don't worry, it's not hard, onto. So you could applique them onto just a circle of fabric, which is what I've done with my flamingos, and make it into a hoop finish. Done. You could do a much larger square and applique that onto a piece of fabric and make a cushion out of it, or a bag. I'm working on various other ideas as well. Obviously, if you've absolutely fallen in love and go crazy, you can actually make a quilt. I will not be making a quilt out of hand-pieced hexagons, certainly not this size. I have not cut out my hexagons. I have pre-bought packets, and they are, I'm trying to remember whether, I think these are 1.25 inches. I think that's what I decided I want to go for. They're quite small. So what I'm going to be working out is what size hexagon you need, depending what stitch count of fabric you go for. So I have bought these, and I plan to stitch mine on 36 count, but I will work out, if you're doing it on 32 count, whether you might need a slightly bigger hexagon, which is fine, you just need to know in advance. If you're doing it on 40 count, whether you might need a slightly smaller hexagon, and that kind of thing. I'm probably going to recommend that it's done on linen rather than Aida, and that's just because you need a fabric that's drapey enough to fold crisply to make the right size hexagon. But anyway, that's all the detail I'll be working out. And obviously I'm also working on the cross-stitch designs for it. It is going to be Sound of Music. It's going to be Sound of Music themed. And what I plan to do is release the patterns in sets according to each song in the musical. So there'll be a set, which is, I mean, this was where I began, was Raindrops on Roses. And so there'll be a set where we've got some raindrops and kittens and maybe brown paper packages and sleigh bells and a girl in a white dress with a blue satin sash and so on. And so that'll be one little set, and you can do that as one little ring on its own, or you could outline each one with plain fabric hexagons to spread it out more, you know. And then there'll be another set which will be from Climb Every Mountain, another set which will be from The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music, and so on. And so that's what I'm working out, is how many they're going to be all together, how many sets there will be, how I'm going to release them, what different finishing options there are going to be. But I promise, even if you are allergic to big projects, there will be very small project options for it. There will be options where if you want to do several small projects, you can do that, but not necessarily every one. And there will be options if you want to combine those into a bigger thing, and obviously the option of doing something crazy and enormous if you want. So I'm not going to say that I'm going to finish all of that in November, but I definitely want to use most of my stitching time this month to really get ahead with that and get that firmed up. And so then hopefully late November, early December, I'll be able to tell you more details of how it's going to work and what you're going to need and when it's going to start. So that's November's plan. December's plan is this. This is Hello from Liz Matthews, 4th Day of Christmas series. I'm not doing her Days of Christmas series, and I'm not going to do this one as the 4th day of Christmas. But you may remember, I should have got it. Just hold on a second and I'll get it to show you, just to remind you. So you may remember last December, along with many other people, I stitched the Evertote Roxy Floss Modern Folk Embroidery Holiday Countdown. Obviously, still me, did my version of it. So these were all called for colours. There was one of the called for that I didn't use, but I arranged them differently. And then I also changed this, which had, I think, the year on it. And to me, it reminded me of the Song of Songs in the Bible. So I put a Bible reference there to that. And then it was Michelle at Mama Loves You GB who noticed that the Valentine's Sal, also from Evertote Roxy Floss and Modern Folk Embroidery, was exactly the same size. And I was like, well, actually, she was like, so you could stitch on the same piece of fabric. And I'm like, you absolutely could. And you could stitch it using the same colours. So this was designed, I think, for just 3 colours, but I've used all the colours from both of them so that they really go together. And you can see, I love how, you know, the sort of designs, they don't match, but they go. So here we've got a pair of deer, and here we've got a pair of deer, and here we've got a little heart, and here we've got a big heart. And, you know, here we've got, what else have we got? We've got little vases, and, you know, lots of vines and flowers and fruits and all of those kind of things, and a sort of triangular shape, I guess, square but also triangle. Anyway, they seem to me to go together very well. And so then again, I can't remember, I think this was charted for various options that you could put across here, but I charted a verse from Song of Songs in Hebrew, I am my beloved's and he is mine, and I really love that. And what my plan is, at the moment it's just got a notebook in just to sort of show that it can be a book cover, but my plan is to make more cross-stitched pages. So I've been looking, not very actively, but I have been looking for other designs, not necessarily by Jacob, that would work. They have to be the same sort of stitch count, because I've got more of the same fabric in the same stitch count. I've got more of the same flosses. So I wanted them to kind of work within that palette, but not necessarily be identical. So I'm going to do this one from Liz Matthews because of the birds. And there's a beautiful passage in the Song Songs about the birds singing. So I'm going to work out how to do it for these colours and how to do it in a way that will work as an Advent stitch. So I think I'm going to need to probably print it out and play with highlighters and work out how I'm going to stitch it. But where she's got the Joy to the World section, mine are not going to be singing Joy to the World. They are going to be singing something from the Song of Songs. So that's what I also need to rechart and get all of that ready so that that will be my Advent stitch. So it's not an organised Advent calendar stitch along, it's just what I am going to be stitching along in Advent. So dividing that into 25 parts and allocating colours and working out how I can do it in a way so that I literally can just sit down and pick it up every day and know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's really the plan. So that's what I'm going to be stitching in November and December. I probably am going to be stitching 1 or 2 other things as well, I guess. I've got a little design that I'm working on. I'm going to show it to you because I think by the time this comes out, it might be finished and it might even be available. It's this. Can you tell what it is yet? It's a round robin, obviously. It's my round robin. I'm stitching this on perforated paper, although you don't have to. There's a part of the design that if you're doing it on perforated paper, you won't stitch, but on ordinary fabric, you probably would. Yeah, I was inspired by my Ink Circles round robin friends to do a little round robin chart for them. And then I was like, actually, I think other people might like that as well. So I need to finish stitching that. I've got 1 or 2 other projects that I may or may not pick up depending how much time I've got, but really it's the stitch along, then it's the Advent, and then possibly for January. I was watching Somi Sarah yesterday. He said that she and Stitchy Sally, I think, are going to be starting Jacob's Dream of a Winter Garden as their New Year start. I have a start on Dream of a Winter Garden. Do I have it here? Might do. I mean, prepare to be wowed, obviously. Not that one. Might be in here. Yeah, here we are. Prepare to be absolutely wowed by my start on this. That's it. That's it. Did that about a year ago. Yeah, so I'd like to pick that up as well. And it won't obviously be a start along with them because I have already started. But I would like to get back to stitching that this winter. I'm stitching that, I think, in a Veriswa 103s. I've seen one or two Flosstubers recently be like, is it 103, 100.3, 100/3? You would really just say it 103, and it's the weight and the ply. So it's 3 ply because it's 103, and the 100 is, I think it's something like how many yards of it make an ounce, weigh an ounce, something like that. It tells you the weight of it anyway. And the higher the number, the finer the thread, because you can get more of it in the same weight. And then it's 3 plied. So yeah, just 103. No digital required. Right, so that's all my plans, all my presents, all my prizes. I think that's all I have for you now. Stay tuned for the third in this little series of Flosstube, where I will be talking about multi-crafting, Patreon, and all things Flosstube-y. Yeah, sounds exciting, doesn't it? I will be having thinky thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this time. If you've not already subscribed, please do that. It really would encourage me. I would love to get to 1,000 subscribers. I mean, I realise to do that, I have to put out more videos than I have been doing this year. But, you know, that's what I'd really love. So if you do watch and you do enjoy it, please do subscribe. It won't cost you anything, but it'll just make my day. All right then, see you next time.